When the sun goes down and the lights are low, there's a place where the real talk flows. Rob and Andrew bringing that spark, unfiltered truths after dark. Talking politics, culture, the state of the scene. No spin, just facts in between. From breaking news to stories untold, these voices come bold and cold. They light up the night, no fear in their eyes. Cut through the noise, expose all the lies. Tune in, buckle up, it's gonna get deep. They're waking up minds while the world's asleep. After dark with Rob and Andrew, speaking the truth like they're born to do. Voices strong, opinions tight, shining in the midnight light. After dark, no holding back. They keep you steady when the world's off track.
Good evening, everybody. I am Rob, one of the hosts of After Dark on the America Emboldened Network. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Wanted to come on because we've got an exciting show for you on tomorrow night on the America Out Loud.news network. Want you to definitely tune into that show at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. My co-host will be Heather Robinson, a contributor of the New York Post, and our guest, Simon Ding. Simon was an escaped slave and he is a human rights activist from southern Sudan. You don't want to miss that show tomorrow night, titled The Islamification of America. Simon is an expert, I would say, on this. So again, you want to tune in tomorrow night on the America Out Loud News Network. You can also catch it on Spotify as well as Apple iTunes at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to go ahead and bring Heather on stage. Heather, how are you
Rob.
tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good, good. Heather, I understand this is the last night of Hanukkah. Hope you had a great Hanukkah.
Thank you. I did.
Oh,
we were
fantastic.
troubled by the world news. It was a sad Hanukkah for us, but we didn't let it stop us, Jews around the world, from celebrating and joy as well.
You know, Heather, these are definitely some unprecedented times. We saw the terrorist attack that took place in Australia. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring Simon on to get his expert analysis as to what's happening. As I mentioned, we had him on America Out Loud.news about 2 weeks ago before this horrible terrorist attack. And he was talking to us about his experience in his home country, where he was a slave, I think when he was a young man,
Yes.
all of 3 years.
3.5 years.
3.5 years, the grace of God, he was able to found one of his countrymen, and they were able to get him out. He now lives in America, and he's been here since 1989. But one of the interesting things about him, Heather, is that he mentioned on our show that he had been sounding the alarms about what America was about to encounter before the first terrorist attack here on the World Trade Center.
Before the second one.
The second terrorist attack, and no one listened to him. He's now back. He's now back sounding the alarm again and warning us of the increase in the Islamic population here that's in the United States. Now, to be clear, we are not painting this with a broad brush and saying that all Muslims are bad.
Very important, Rob. Yes, very important, because
but one of the
we
things
all
that he
have
said,
Muslim friends, and we have
absolutely.
to, all freedom-loving people, we have to remember that the hero of this Bondi Beach massacre was a Muslim. He tackled one of these killers, a good man. So it's really radical Islamism that is the enemy, and it's a tricky one because we are fighting that horrible force that's out to really destroy our way of life. But we have a range of people, lots of Muslim people, including some great friends of mine, who are not radicals, who do not choose to focus on those elements of the Quran which are violent. So it's a troublesome, concerning, complicated, difficult, very difficult problem, because we're at war with an ideology and certain individuals who champion this insane ideology, but not everybody who subscribes to this religion.
Right. And like you said, it's very trying to navigate through this is very difficult, but at the same time, we have to. So without further ado, I want to bring Simon on so that we could start our conversation. We won't be on long, but I thought it was necessary to bring him on to tease you guys about tomorrow's night show, which I would definitely encourage you to tune into. Again, is tomorrow, Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Simon, my friend, how are you tonight?
Thank you, Rob, and thanks again for having me here. And thanks, Heather Robertsons. Before I start my remarks, let me extend my great greeting to my fellow Jewish community to tell them Happy Hanukkah. As we always said, as a Christian, the first thing we do, because we go from Hanukkah to Christmas, so we always said Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas, and also that we have to extend our condolence to the family of the people, the tragedy that took place in Australia, in which that we just got out from getting our brothers and sisters out in the hands of the evil Hamas, and then suddenly the same thing happened in Australia. So that being said, it will come down to what I always talk about it. Australia is not strange to me. I have been in Australia 7 years ago, warning them, telling them about what is coming to Australia. And of course, some of them, they would look at me like, oh, you are just being Islamophobia. You are anti-Islam. It was not anti-Islam. It was just the fact that I come from a country which has been brutalized. I come from a society which there's 4 million of their people being slaughtered in the name of Islam. So when we talk about Islam here, as Heather just said, we are not indicting anyone, but we are indicting the practice and policy being carried in the name of Islam. We said this from the time I come to this country to a point I was sitting across the table with one of the powerful elected officials here in New York, telling them what I went through in Sudan, telling him what my people are going through when the genocide was being carried out effectively in the name of jihad, because Sudan, as an Islamic state, declared jihad on the infidel Southern Sudanese, in which that 4 million was slaughtered. And this gentleman, elected official, a congressman from New York, look at me and say that you're just being paranoid. You just want to drag us into your problem. And I told him, Mr. Congressman, it is not dragging you, because what happened to me, unless you are not an infidel because I'm an infidel because I'm a Christian, I'm being targeted because I'm a Christian, unless you're telling me that you are on their side, then you will think that it's not going to come to you. So what is happening in Australia and what is happening here in New York, believe it or not, and I will repeat this again, I have been saying it for 30 years. If everybody will think that it's not going to happen tomorrow, thinks again. The reason I said that then, and I will say it again, before 9/11, there was an attempt done by a blind Sheikh Umar Abdurrahman. He failed to bring down the Twin Tower. And I said it then, this is the beginning. This is the beginning. Yes, people look at me that I'm paranoid. 10 years later, what happened? Osama bin Laden came and finished the work. So if anybody with the right mind thinking that what we're saying here, it is a joke, thinks again. Look at your neighborhood. Look at what is going on around you. Look at the places which was not Islamic before, and look at them today. When you have the mayor of New Jersey partisans calling partisan as a capitals of Palestine, you think he's a joke. Then you have Dearborn, Michigan, in which that used to be a good place, where now you cannot have anything unless you have to agree with the policy which is carried out by the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan. Look at what is happening in Minnesota. The same thing, and list goes on and on and on and on. So what my message to the West? It is not too late until it is too late, even though it is too late already. But if you still bringing in people who want to come and expand and turn your country into, don't be surprised, 10 years from today, U.S. going to be another London's. That's what I can say here.
Right. So Simon, let's get some context. I want to get some context to our listeners as to what you're saying. As I mentioned, you had come on our show previously on America Out Loud News Network, and we had talked about this, talked about you, your upbringing, and what happened to you as a child, and then how you came to this country in 1989. And as you shared with us previously, you had said that when you came here, there wasn't as many Muslims as there are today. We look at Detroit, Minnesota, we look there. Minneapolis, Minnesota, we look at Dearborn, Michigan, and we see huge populations of Muslims. And again, we're not indicting all Muslims, but one of the things of their faith is to come in, to convert. If you don't convert the infidels, they want to get rid of you. And I remember seeing a quote somewhere from one of the talk show hosts who said that in the religion, if you don't convert, if you don't give in, the penalty is death. It's death. Now that's huge. And you witnessed that as a child in your home country when you were kidnapped and they tried to get you to convert. Could you share some of that with our listeners, please?
Well, when I was taken and I was given away to my slave master who kidnapped me from Southern Sudan, and he gave me away to his relative as a gift, I was given three conditions. That if I want to be treated like a human being or to be taken to schools, I have three choices. One, convert to Islam. Two, take the Arab names. And the third one, which was difficult, to become their son. You know, let face it, and especially to a persons who happen to be a Jew today. If Moses would have accepted the offer which was given to him by the Pharaoh to become his son so that he become a king, probably we would not have the state of Israel today. Thank God that he believed that at that time that he cannot give away his identity no matter what. And that is why we have the state of Israel today. If I would have converted and become their son, I would not be speaking to you today. I would not even be the voice of my peoples, which was being slaughtered when nobody is there. And he had become their voice in the United States. And thank God today, Southern Sudan is out of the practice of Islamization and Arabization, in which that we have the new nation, which is the Republic of Southern Sudan today. It is because of people like me who rejected this policy. Yes, the West have a problem, because if they think that we have today, I don't know how many population of Muslim. Tomorrow, they will demand this because they will use the book that you have, the constitutions, the laws, which is there, which is a loophole for them, that you can use this to expand and so that nobody will reject you. As I mentioned before in a previous talk we did, like what they are doing in Texas today. American, if you cannot stop these things, this is the beginning. Elected official, they come into office. Like, for instance, we have in New York. Guess what? Whom are you going to appoint here? You're going to appoint you one Muslim here, one Muslim there, one Muslim. To do what? To implement the policy which carrying their agenda of Islamization in the West. If you don't see this, then something wrong with you. If you don't see this, you're going to be like what is happening in London, where the British cannot do anything because they already opened their doors and they're here, they are in your face. You find mosques everywhere. And I said again, the majority of the mayors in UK today happen to be Islamists.
Now, something you had also mentioned, you had said, shared with us, Heather and I, that you felt that they are using, the radical Muslims are using our freedom, our constitution against us. Could you elaborate on that a little bit for us, please?
Yes, because in your constitution, you have a protection of religions, you have the protection of freedoms, you have a right where you can do anything based on that fact itself. And today, they're using it very effectively, especially in the United States, but more of all in the West, because the laws and the rules in the West is not different of what is happening, what is here in the United States. And that is why you find them in Belgium using the freedoms, using all the laws. You find them in Australia, you find them in Germany, you find them in France, you find them in Netherlands, and all those things. It is to expand the agenda where, according to them, Islam is going to rule the world. If you don't see it based on all the country, in Canada, for instance, there are some places in Canada today you cannot even talk about anything. Even they one time I see it was shocking, where they have to bring down the Canadian flags, and then they put the Palestinian flags in the place of it in Canada. Where on earth, where can you do that? Can we do that in Saudis? That to bring their flag down and then put American flag there, knowing that we as an American, we are so friend with the Saudis kingdoms. No, we cannot do that. Here in the West, they do it because part of freedom of speech.
Right. And if you call them out, on it, you say this is not right. You are Islamophobic, you are a racist, and then people will kowtow to them. We see this in Dearborn. We see this all over. Look at Ilhan Omar. They're calling them out for what's happening in Minnesota. Right now, I'm hearing $9 billion stolen. And to question that, they'll say, oh, you're Islamophobic or you're a racist, and then people will back off. This has been happening for almost a decade or more. And no one wanted to say anything out of fear. Something else that you had shared with us. You said that you see what's happening with the increase of these radical Muslims who are coming into power. They're becoming representatives, they're becoming mayors, they're becoming assemblymen. And this is happening across the United States. And no one is saying anything out of fear of being called a racist or Islamophobia. But you look at what's happening in the UK. Look at what's happening in London. Those countries and the cities are being destroyed. And why, Patel, will these Muslims not go to other Muslim countries? What are your thoughts on that, Simon?
You know, you mentioned Ilhan Omar, which that she have an audacity because she using the freedom, forgetting that he came here as a refugee that people like me who came here as a refugee, we came here to respect the rules of this country, to be an honor and appreciate the novel's gift was given to us, which is something we never had in where I came from. She herself today have an audacity by using what I said before, freedom of this, Constitution said this and said that, by having an audacity to even use a bad language against the President of the United States, and nothing happened to her. Let's face it, she cannot use those language to any head of the state outside in the Islamic country. She will never, ever use that, because leave out that he used everything's have an audacity with the powerful president on the earth, and nothing happened because the freedom protecting this and the constitution protecting this, leave out that she happened to be an elected official. So for the Muslim coming to the West, they're coming exactly to implement the policy which it is in Quran. They're coming to the West to use all the loopholes of the right and constitution and freedoms in the West effectively on their favor, in which that here now in London, you cannot say anything against the Muslim or what they're doing. You will be arrested. You will be arrested. So they're using all these things to expand their religion, to conquer the world based on what they said, and which they really will tell you that Islam is going to rule the world. Why they choose to come to the West? They can go to any Islamic country. They're so rich. Emirate is richer than anybody on earth. Why they don't go there? They need people there. There's less population. Why all these millions coming to the US? Why they don't go over there? There's too many wealth for them. No, they're coming here for this reason. And that is exactly what they came here. It is what you see from Ilhan Omar, a congresswoman, by being him sworn on the constitution to play allegiance to the United States. But guess what? In her rally, she's playing her allegiance to what? A country that she left. If she loved Somalia so much the way she is proud of it, why she's here?
Right. Why would she go back? Right. I agree.
Let you go and become a congresswoman in Somalia. Let you go and become a president in Somalia.
Exactly. Why won't they go back? And I've oftentimes said this. They're trying to bring their culture, the culture that they fled from here. She left her mud hut there to come here to poo-poo on America and say we're bad, we're racist. Then go back. No, Simon, we just got a request, and I think it's really good for you to give us for context, because I mentioned that I consider you a subject matter expert on this. Share with our viewers, we don't have long, but share with our viewers your background, what you experienced in your native country and what brought you here. Because I think that our listeners need to understand that as well, because they see your attire, which you have on. They also see your tribal markings on your forehead. So share with our listeners a little bit about your background.
Well, I think for the listeners and people who, for the first time to hear what I just said, I came from Sudan, now in Southern Sudan. Thank God for that. I left that country because of the civil war where the jihad was declared on my people. When I was 9 years old, I was taken, captured by an Arab man, or kidnapped by an Arab man, that's the right word, because I didn't know the word of slavery. He brought me to Northern Sudan, and he gave me away as a gift. People would be shocked that how can a human being being given as a gift? Yes, it happened in Sudan. It is a reality in Sudan. Even one time, one of the New York newspapers here in New York was written on a front page that you can buy a human being in Sudan for $10. That is what is happening to my peoples. 4 million, my fellow Southern Sudanese, was slaughtered in the name of Islam by the declaring jihad of infidel Southern Sudanese Christian by the Arab government in Sudan. Hundreds of thousands was taken into the slavery. Even when I came here, the world think that the slavery, it is ended. But the slavery will still exist in Sudan. The slavery will still exist in a country of Mauritania in West Africa, even up to today. So these are the facts. So what we're saying here, I'm not speaking as a politician. I'm speaking as a victim. I'm speaking as somebody who went through terror. I was being forced to do things that a child at that age cannot physically endure. But I was not being considered as a human being by them. I was being considered as an abid, which is slave. The kids at my age at that time, they will call in Arabic Duk al Abid, beat their slaves, and they will gang on me for fun to beat the hell out of me, in which I cannot protect myself. And all I have to do is to cry for mercy. And this cry is what make me the ability to tell the world, if you ignore what happened to me, then you should not ignore what is going and what is coming to you today. If you ignore what happening to the people of Southern Sudan, you're seeing it every day in the street of Washington, in the street in Australia, in the street of New York, and you're seeing it, what happened to the Twin Towers, especially for the New Yorkers. How many terrorist attacks being prevented by the New York Police Department here in New York? And if anybody think that what I'm saying here, it is something that, oh, because we're controlling this now, this thing will never happen, something wrong with you. They said it when Umar Abdurrahman was not able to bring down the Twin Towers, that we captured them, we put them in prison, everything is good. Guess what? Osama bin Laden will come. So what I'm saying, if you don't see it now, you're going to be surprised tomorrow. And your America better wake up before it is too late. Because too late, it is just close. It is very soon. You're going to be facing the reality which the British is facing in London.
How do you think we can prevent this? Is this preventable? What can we do to stop, to save America? Because as we mentioned earlier on, we see the spread of this through in our different cities. Go ahead, Heather, before you answer.
And also, you know, with what can we do to stop it while still protecting the civil liberties of most of our Muslim neighbors who are mostly good people? How can we target and excise the cancer without killing and hurting and disrupting the healthy cells, so to speak, the relationships, the people? You know, I have a very close friend who's a, you know, Muslim from Bangladesh, you know, as good as any human being I know. I mean, we don't want to give into an impulse toward paranoia, you know, toward dehumanizing others, and yet we don't want to be naive about the real dangers of this extremist strain of Islam. How can we not be dummies and protect ourselves while at the same time not over generalizing, not embittering and souring the good Muslim people and the good relationships that we have here in America with some of them? It's such a challenge.
Well, I think what you're saying, Heather, it is true. It is a challenge. And to prevent these things, once we need those who consider themselves as good Muslims to join us and denounce all the evils acts being carried out in the name of their religions. We want the good Muslim to distance themselves from the bad Muslims. But the bad Muslim, by the way, they will come with a very powerful argument to the good Muslims by telling the good Muslim, what we're doing, it is in the book. And it is facts. It is true. I saw one of the debate 20 years ago between so-called radical and modern Muslims done by the BBC in London. Guess who won the debate? So people who've been called as radicals. Why? Because they brought the books, asking simple question to the good Muslim. We not practice something out of our head. It is here in the book. So to prevent these things, even I can say that, and people will be disappointed. It is too late already. but close the door which brought the warmth. Immigrations, simple as it is. Immigration, simple as it is. Other than that, it is too late because you already have it here. When you have the majority elected mayors in London, what kind of policy they put in place? When you have here in the US, a big city now going to be run by the Muslim, in which that in the grand mansions, they're going to have a place to pray, which wasn't there. The place we pray in the grand mansion, it is in the church or wherever, but you're going to have them in an inside grand mansion next month. These are the facts. In the city hall, you're going to have the place for a prayer next month. These are the facts. So what he's going to tell you, it's already over. I'm sorry to
It's already
say,
here, like you said. It's already here, and a lot of people are sleeping. They're believing that it's not. By calling it out, they'll say that you're Islamophobic, you're racist, but you're not. You're concerned. And as we said before, the biggest question is, why won't they go to other Muslim countries? If they think that our country is so racist and bad, why come here? Why is Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib on the Hill? It's by design. There is the indoctrination, and they're spreading their radical Islamist behavior. Again, not all are that way, but as Simon said, where are the good Muslims? Why aren't they calling it out? Why aren't their voices being heard? Instead, people would rather attack Christians and Jews. And we see that now. They're making Jews the enemy. They're the bad guys. What have they done? It is the only democracy in the Middle East. We're not saying that it's perfect, but it is the only democracy. The United States isn't perfect, but we're one of the only democracies that allow people to have freedom. But as Simon said, a closer observation, and you will see that these radical Islamists are using our freedom. They're using our Constitution against us for their gain, to protect the evilness that they're doing. Folks, you've been listening to After Dark on the American Emboldened Network. Again, I hope you will tune in tomorrow night, which is Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and you will hear more from Simon and his thoughts on the Islamicization of America. Until then, God bless, good night, and thank you.
After Dark with Robin Andrew, speaking the truth like they're born to do. Voices strong, opinions tight, shining in the midnight light. After dark, no holding back. They keep you steady when the world's off track.